Today, let's enjoy the mesmerizing view of Mount Fuji in spring. Looking at our reference photo, let's enhance the painting by turning those dried tree branches into a blooming cherry blossom trees. Let's start the sketch by drawing the outline of the mountain. I place the peak off-center. Next, I draw the horizon line somewhere on the lower third of the paper. Let's add some lines here as a guide on the snowy parts of the mountain, and let's simplify the view of the city with some rectangular shapes. Don't be intimidated with those complex details. Next, I draw the tree branches peeking on the corners. Keep your sketch as light as possible. Let's moisten the page using a water sprayer. Now I mix the colors cobalt blue and blue apatite genuine to create this desaturated blue color. I flatten the bristles of my brush, then create swift downward diagonal strokes to paint the shadowed parts of the mountain. I do it with a dry brush to portray also the snow. Next, I drop a tiny bit of dark tone blue on some spots to create depth. Avoid overdoing this so we preserve the lightness of the strokes. I simply add a bit of indigo to my original blue mix to have a darker shade. See how light my stroke is as I dab this dark color on the portions of the mountain. I also dab paints using just the tip of my brush. Next, I use the leftover blue paint on my palette mixed with cobalt blue to paint the lower part of the mountain. I pre-wet the lower part with clean water, then drop some colors on the edge and let it flow naturally on the wet surface. here I add some olive green to my mix to create variety of color in the fragment. Doing this creates extra interest. With the horizontal stroke, I paint the foot of the mountain to separate it from the city. As I paint the city fragment, I do it with a play of strokes, both hard and soft edges. I intentionally leave some square and rectangular gaps to portray the roofs of the buildings and also the houses. I also do a play of colors using blue and a bit of burnt sienna so the area won't look too plain or flat. A tip on painting top view of the city, you don't have to paint each structure one by one. We paint them by impression using play of colors, textures, and most importantly, leaving white unpainted spaces. We leave it as is for now and we'll paint more details later on once it dries. Now we can move on to painting the sky. Using horizon blue and lavender, I create a very bluish lavender color for the sky. I carefully outline the mountain and spread the color. I avoid painting over the fragment reserved for the cherry blossoms. I made the wash flat and plain because we don't want it to compete over the bright colored flowers we'll paint on the foreground later on. So now I get dark blue using indigo to darken some spots on the mountain. Notice that only the tip is touching the paper so we can achieve concentrated and thick strokes. I also painted a very light tone of blue here to eliminate too much bright unpainted space here on the right. Let this layer dry completely before proceeding on painting the next step. Now I spray some water on the corners in preparation to painting the cherry blossoms. With a saturated mix of quinacridone rose and peach, I splatter some paints on the corners. I create a creamier and darker shade of pink using the same two colors. I vary the amount of peach and quinacridone rose to get different shades. For my darkest tone, I add peridine violet and splatter paints on top. I dab some paints on some areas, but I mostly prefer splattering to get a more natural effect. Using a liner brush, I mix Amethyst Genuine and Payne's Gray to my existing pink color to get a dark color to paint the twigs and branches. The mix has to be so thick and containing very little amount of water. I paint impressions of twigs with very light strokes. I also vary the thinness or thickness of the lines. I created a blob of pink, so I tried to lift a bit of color. This step is not necessary if you don't encounter one. I just add some more tiny strokes to finalize the painting, and then using Amethyst Genuine and Indigo, I paint tiny strokes on the city fragment for highlights. I also use my round brush to lessen the brightness of the white caps. I wanted the mountain to have the brightest tone since it is our focal point, so I have to slightly increase the tonal value of these white spots on the city. This is our final painting.